Hey everyone, I hope you all are safe and doing good. So in the series of learning C++ programming language, we have discussed loops in C++, right? Break, continue and coding exercise based on that in previous videos. Now in this video, we will discuss what are arrays in C++. So first thing we will discuss what is need of array. This thing is important. Why we use arrays, the need. First we will understand this thing. Then we will see what is an array, how to declare an array, how to initialize arrays, something like this, right? So okay, first see what is need of array. Before that, let me just ask you one thing. If I ask you to store, I want to store 5, right, in a program, then how you are going to store this thing in memory? You just take a variable of integer type like int a is equal to 5. Very simple, right? So in memory, 4 bytes would be allocated to this a, 5 would be stored, and suppose address is 1000. It would be some hexadecimal form, we don't know, but suppose address is 1000. I'm just supposing this thing. I don't know the address. And obviously 5 would be stored, first converted into binary form, then it would be stored, right? But just for your understanding, I'm just simply storing 5 in this block. This block is of 4 bytes and the name of this memory location is A. But if I want to store 6, then the previous value would be erased and 6 would be stored. If you want to store 10, then previous value would be erased and 10 would be stored, right? In the same variable if you want to store, right? Now, if I want to store 1 to 5, like 5 number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then what is an idea? What can be a case like int a, int b, we can just we can just take 5 variables and then we can store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, fine. Then 5 variables would be there and 5 values would be stored. Because under one variable name, single variable name, we can store only single value. That is for sure, right? What if in my class I have 60 students? I want to store roll numbers of 60 students. Then is it possible to have 60 variables and store roll number of 60 students? Okay. Suppose I can take this thing also. I can declare 60 variables I can take. But suppose I have 1000 customers and the name of those customers I want to store, or the customer ID of 1000 customer I want to store. Then obviously we cannot declare 1000 variables, right? So is there any way that under a single variable name we can store more than one value? Like under a single variable name I can store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But variable name would be single only. Or maybe 10 values, or maybe a roll number of 60 students, or 1000 customer name, or 1000 customer IDs, something like this. Yes, it is possible with the help of arrays. Right? When we were discussing data type, then we have seen like there are 3 types of data type: built-in, derived and user defined. Built-in data types are int, float, bool, void, double, these, right? Arrays comes under derived data types, or we can say compound data types, or we can also say array is a data structure, right? So with help of array we can store more than one value under a single variable name, right? How we are going to store, this is important. So how you basically declare an array. So I think the need is clear to you, right? Because obviously we are going to deal in real life, you know, with a large amount of data, and you have to store that data also, right? So to store that data, to manage that data, obviously we need arrays. We cannot take for each value a different variable name, right? So I think the need is clear to you guys, right? Now how to declare arrays? Simple, we will write data type first. Suppose int, just I'm taking int, then array name, suppose I'm taking same a, and in these brackets array size. So I want to store suppose roll number of 60 students. So just take size 60. This is data type of the array, name of array, and this is the maximum value this array can hold. Maximum number of elements. So not maximum value, maximum number of elements this array can store. 60 numbers, 60 values this array can store, right? So under a single variable name, I can store like 1, 2, 3 up to 60 roll numbers. Now, okay, one thing is how to access these roll numbers, that also we'll see later. But till now it is, I think, clear to you guys, right? How to declare arrays. Now, array can be of many types, like float value if you want to store, like float marks of student. So float marks and marks of 60 students I want to store. So that is also fine. Character type array is also fine. Char, like maybe character name is C and 5. So 5 character we can store here. But the problem is, same type of elements we can store under a single name, right, or in an array. So it's like a collection of elements which are of same data type. Means if this array A, we can store only integer values, only integer value. It's not like that we can store 1, 2, 1.1 and character also. No, this would be wrong. We can store 60 integer value only. Here we can store only float values, right? Character values, string values are not allowed, right? Here we can store only characters, 5 characters here, right? So I hope this is clear to you guys. So these are some characteristics of array, and arrays are of fixed size. Once you have fixed this size in your program, during runtime you cannot change this, right? If you want to change, get back to your program, edit your program, change the size here, then you have to recompile it and then run it, right? Yeah, dynamic arrays are also possible. That is also a concept that also we'll discuss later, right? And it can store same type of elements. One array can store same type of element. Mix is not allowed. Like in Python, in list we can store mixed data type, float, you can say in a list we can store integer, 1.1, float, or string, something like this. But this is in Python list, right? And this is C++ and we are discussing arrays. So in arrays, this mixing is not allowed, right? And see, this array size must be a positive constant, right? It cannot be negative. Or here, rather than this constant value, we can take expression also, but that expression should give a positive. That should be a positive constant expression, right? What I am saying, I will tell you this thing with help of program. We will see. Let's see practical of this thing. And while VLAs are also allowed, variable length arrays, while we declare these arrays, there are several variations of this array type, right? What you can write here in this array size. It can be a constant value, it can be variable length arrays, it can be like or without giving the size also you can declare this array. But how? I'll show you practically. Okay, so let's create a new file, arrays intro.cpp, right? So first you have to include that header IO stream, then the namespace, and which namespace? That is std. It is a standard, std means standard namespace. Here we have those definition of C in, C out, these objects, right? Now in main function, let's declare now array, integer array. So the data type, array name, suppose I am taking roll number of 60 students. Better to take a meaningful name. If you want to store roll number, then better to take name, roll number, or you can take like X, Y, Z, A, B, C, any name, but better to take a meaningful name. So roll number of 60 students, right? So this is just, you can say this is how we can declare an array, right? It's not just declaration, it's actually it's a definition, right? Because at this time memory has been allocated. How much memory? For 60 students, for 60 numbers, and if you want to store one integer, it will take 4 bytes. So 60 into 4, 240 bytes has been allocated to this array, right? And if you only store like 15 roll numbers, then you are only using 15 into 4, 60 bytes. Remaining bytes are a waste. That is why this is what a kind of drawback, because arrays are of fixed size. We here generally take maximum size, right? Okay, so this is what declaration we can say. Now, rather than this, if suppose I want to take this minus value, is it allowed? No. See a red line here. The size of an array must be greater than 0, right? If you run this, you can check out, there would be an error. See, the size of array roll number is negative, right? It should be positive. Fine. Okay. Now, rather than this constant, while declaring this array, this size, there are several variations allowed for the size. First I have told you, arrays of a known constant size. So this is a known constant size, 60. Now something like this is also allowed. If I take a variable like, if you want to declare a constant, then just write down const, this keyword, data type int, and suppose I'm taking n is equal to 5, right? And there I can write down this variable n, 5. So this also comes into that category only, arrays of known constant size, because n is what? It's a constant. The value cannot be changed. So this is also allowed, right? Now, or rather than this, you can, here we can also take, like I have taken 60. That also comes under this one. Or you can also write here like size of, suppose double. This is also fine. The size of, this is also a constant regular expression, right? So this is fine. There would be no error. Let me just run this. Obviously no output, but there would be, okay, I have selected this. Let me just run this now. See, there would be no error, right? So the size of is also a constant expression. So constant expressions are also allowed. Any constant value is also allowed, right? Now next is variable length arrays. Suppose I'm not taking this constant, I'm just taking a variable, int n is equal to 5, and here I am writing this n. This is fine. There will be no error. Yeah, this is allowed. Obviously this is not a constant, but this is allowed. This n, we can change this n, something like this. If you want to change it, suppose I just write down this n plus plus less than 10, n is 5, then n, this is less than 10. Then within this loop, I'm just declaring this array, int roll number and size n. So see, the n is changing, n plus plus. First it was 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then less than, suppose equal to 10, then 10, right? So the size is changing. If you want to print number of elements, because this n is what? Array size. So I simply print this n. That's it. ENDL for a new line, right? And return 0 for successful completion. If I run this, then see, array size is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Till 11. So in this case, it has also printed 11. N is 11, but you think that 11 is, the condition was not true, and why it is printing 11? But actually n value is 10. 10 less than equal to 10, yes, condition true. After evaluating this expression, after that it would be plus plus. So now it becomes 11. So condition true as well, and then n becomes 11, so it is printing 11. So this is what, every time the control will go to this you know, expression, then this expression, this is simply n, this would be evaluated every time, and a new size would be allocated to this array, right? Now next is array of unknown size. Is this allowed? Let's take one example. If suppose I am taking here, array name is same, roll number, and it is of unknown size, I don't know, but it will give error. This is not allowed. Incomplete type is not allowed. Because, but see, one thing I'll show you. Extern int Suppose rather than roll number, I'm taking array A and that's it. See now, in first line you are not getting any error, no red line. But in second line you are getting a red line. Here it is an error. Why so? Let me just run this and I'll show you the error. See. Error, storage type of roll number is not known. Only one error. It is not known, but obviously A is also array and the size is not known. But why this is not an error? See, this is declaration and this is actually definition. I hope you have the idea of declaration definition. Declaration means we are just telling the type and the name of the array. That's it. No memory allocation. So if you don't want to allocate any memory, then obviously size is not allowed, right? Here definition means memory allocation. Means that obviously the type, name of the array as well as memory allocation. But how much memory to be allocated? How much? When you will tell the size, then only it would be, the memory manager will allocate the memory, na? So that is why size is important in this case. That is why it is giving error. When you use this extern keyword, right, this class, it means somewhere else outside of this scope, somewhere else in another file, this is defined. Here we are just declaring. Means you are just telling the type of data type and the name. That's it. But somewhere else we have definition. So while it is you can say the responsibility of linker actually to link when you compile this, then it is actually the when you execute this, then the linker will link this thing. It will see the extern keyword, then it will link where is definition of this A in any other file, then it will link that file and then it will be executed, right? It is not the responsibility of actually compiler, it is the responsibility of linker, right? We have discussed like you can say this, how this is to be executed, the complete execution process of a program, of a C program actually, right? So you can check out that video. That is why it is not giving any error. It is just a declaration, but it is definition. So you have to tell the size here. So this is what? Arrays of unknown size. Now see, in one case, this thing is allowed. You can write down this thing, but you have to initialize the array here only. So equal to, how to initialize an array. This is what declaration, how to initialize array. Now two ways are there at compile time, at run time. So at compile time, I have to initialize. Let me just tell you. If you don't give the size, it's okay. Just give the list like 1, 4, 8, 0, minus 5, something like this, right? Now you will not get any error because automatically the array size would be calculated because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. So the array size is 5. So how much memory would be allocated? 20 bytes would be allocated, right? So this is allowed. If you are initializing at the same time, then you don't need to give here the size, right? And same if I write like here, roll number is equal to 10 and here I want to initialize 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5, right? So 5 elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but remaining elements would be 0, 0, 0 because the memory would be allocated for 10 elements, that is fixed, right? So obviously the remaining would be waste because we have just used 5 into 4, 20 bytes and there 40 bytes has been allocated. 10 into 4, 40 bytes has been allocated, right? So wastage of memory is more when we are using these arrays. And if I write here something like this, 0. So all the elements would be allocated to 0 because 1 is 0 and remaining is nothing, so automatically 0. But see, one question for you is, if I want to allocate all the roll numbers, all the 10 numbers in this array with a same value like 1, all should be 1. So rather than writing here 10 times 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, no, this is not the case. Suppose here I have 50 or the size is 100 and all the elements I want 1. All the 100 elements should be 1 1 1 1 1. So how we are going to do this? That is your assignment. You have to let me know in comment section, right? And if suppose the size is only 5 and here I'm writing 6 values, so that would be an error, right? Too many initializer values, because size is 5, so only 5 value it can store, right? Although there is no bound checking in this array, that is a drawback, but that thing we will discuss when I'll tell you how to access the elements of array, right? Then you will get that thing better, right? So this is what initialization at compile time. But at runtime, from the user I want to ask the roll numbers, right? So with the help of, like, obviously we can ask enter the roll numbers, right? And then because I want 5 numbers, right? So that would be in a loop. So for, let's take a variable for loop, int I is equal to 0, because array index always start from 0. I should be less than 5 and I plus plus, not less than equal to 5. 0 1 2 3 4, 5 elements, so till 4, index would be till 4, right? And with the help of cin we can take value from the user, right? So roll number and I, like this. This is what kind of index kind of thing, right? And one question here is, why the index always starts from 0? This is one question for you guys. You have to let me know in comment section the answer of this question. If you're not getting the answer, it's okay, we'll discuss this thing, the answer of this question also in next video. Why the array index always starts from 0, right? Why not from 1? And this is kind of index, because to access array elements we use what method? Index method, right? Now how to access, this is what initialization at runtime. So from user we are asking, suppose if I run this, then it will ask from the user, enter the roll numbers 1 2 3 4 5. Obviously it is not showing us the roll numbers, it has only stored these roll numbers, right? Because we are not writing any code to access those roll numbers. How to access array elements, that thing we will see in next video, right? So I hope till now it is clear to you guys, like need of array and some introduction. It was like introductory part of arrays. And see, rather than this for loop we can use while loop, do while loop also, right? To initialize these arrays, or range based for loop also. That is up to you which loop you are using. So I hope till now arrays are clear to you guys. What is need of array, what is an array, how to declare an array, how to initialize an array. So in the next video we'll see how to the memory representation of arrays and how to access elements of arrays. 1D array we are discussing here, right? 2D arrays, multidimensional arrays we will discuss later, right? So now I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.